This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, so I've started the recording and it's 6:08 p.m.
Great. So, should I do the official welcome? Or do I?
Sure, or as official as you like. So I posted this as a special meeting. Maybe I didn't even give it a descriptor, but a special meeting of the Community Relations Committee. Our regular meetings now being scheduled for the second Thursday of each month, which this isn't.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Well,
we're going to start that the 9th.
Yeah. Well, we'll just do roll call. How's that?
Sure.
So today is the February 2nd meeting of the Community Relations Committee, and we'd like to thank Easthampton Media for posting all of our recordings. They can be found on YouTube after the fact. So roll call. Rebecca Pasa.
Here.
Margaret Kirstein. Marla Solomon.
Here.
Jan Norman. And I'm Emily Britton. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd like to discuss a Black History Month event in collaboration with the Easthampton Film Festival for purposes of education and honoring the contributions of African Americans in this country, and also talk about doing this for future heritage honoring months. Chris Ferry is the founder of the Easthampton Film Festival, and he is very open to collaborating with us. There will be no charge to patrons coming to a film. We can usually get a venue for free. And if we wanted to have a panel discussion with people, that those people might want an honorarium of some sort. So I'd hope to talk about the budget here.
I have a question, just because some venues could be free for us, but they may have a cover charge.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought I'd ask that question.
Right.
Yeah.
Luthier's does not have a cover charge. I know that, and that would be our first venue if we do it this month.
Okay.
They have the availability already. They've already agreed.
Yeah, they are available on February 26th and many other Sundays, most likely. So we would just need to let them know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And musicians or people or film, I mean, there may be, you can tip people, but other than that, if there's not a cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So just so you know, Marla, when we met last month, Rebecca and I and Derek Dean really liked the idea of this. Do you have any thoughts about it? I know we haven't done an event yet, but
yeah, let's do it.
I know.
That's my thought.
Right.
It sounds like a really important film, and it's nice that it's, not super long, but, I'm sure chock full of content. And I support, the idea of doing it on that date at Luthier's. And I think that given the availability of Luthier's, we know they're available and we know we can do it that date. Maybe we could work with, say, one of the chosen potential facilitators isn't available that day, then we, maybe go to somebody else, try to keep the date
Mhm.
otherwise we'll be kind of messing around maybe too much, given it's, that's 3 weeks from now, basically.
Mhm.
So,
Right. Right.
um,
Right. And I know that the city or the school is doing an event on February 10th and February 17th. And was there another event? I can't remember, but anyway, I haven't
I
seen
just
it.
saw those two.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything for that weekend. So it would be nice to do it that week.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The reparations committee event might be in March. So
Right.
yeah. So okay. Yeah. What do we would need to, I guess, next steps are like hammer out the panelists or the facilitator, find out if they need to be paid, and then next week we could discuss, what we should pay them and get that approved, because we have to get our desires for payment approved by the city before we submit any sort of invoice, right? I was hoping Rebecca was Margaret was going to be here since she's on our finance committee. But
Well, to the extent we have a finance committee.
Right.
But I think you, Emily, and I think you actually had pursued payment at one time, and I asked the mayor some questions. So I don't know how much Margaret's in those loops. But
Right.
my sense was right now we're funded under a certain fund that the mayor was able to apply to the committee. So I think at least right now what we have to do is submit our budget to the mayor's office, right? And and then go from there.
Okay.
As I guess as we go down the road, we have to see what our committee size does, because at some point we'll probably want to ask the city council for an appropriation, but we have to have a voting majority before we do that, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
We're still a plurality, which is better than nothing. Yeah.
So what would you guys, think? Like if we have somebody facilitating who is able to accept, money from us, payment, instead of like us just buying their dinner and drinks at Luthier's, what do you think is fair for an evening's time?
Well, I would say that we're talking about facilitating maybe a half an hour or an hour conversation.
Right.
Something like that.
An hour at the most.
An hour.
At the most. Right. Hour at the most.
At the most. Okay. So, I would say, at Five Colleges, we used to have a standard of like, we would offer people, the minimum was like $250. Partly just to acknowledge, that people are taking their time and whatever, and depending on who it is, right? But that was sort of like the minimum. And I think that would be a nice offering. Even though it's short, somebody with skills and requires some thinking about, what they're going to do.
Right.
That's my suggestion.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Does that seem out of the ballpark, or like you wanted to have two people maybe, or co-facilitators, or?
Right. I thought, a facilitator and then an expert. And And yeah, I don't think a panel of I don't think more than 3 people would be recommended. So like maybe 2 panelists and a facilitator. It sort of depends like on the film. So this film is pretty educational, and it's a lot about, the law and trials and juries and racism in the way that, juries are selected. So I definitely would want to get somebody who's got some bit of information about that. I wrote up some questions. I guess I can share my questions after watching the film. It'd be something like, so.
I mean, my feeling might be that if there was a facilitator and maybe one expert, given the time frame, that might be plenty, because if you get into panels with like even 3 people, then you gotta give them each time to say something, and that takes up a lot of time, and then people don't get to engage in the conversation.
Right.
So
I
don't think we need more than, a facilitator and an expert, if that's what you're wanting to set up for that time frame. And the film is short, and probably the group will be relatively small, so we don't want to.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody in mind?
Well,
for the expert part?
Yeah,
I know you were talking about Derek for the facilitator part.
Right.
Or is he the expert?
He was going to be the facilitator, I was hoping. I don't know this man's resume. I was going to look into it more, but I saw him at the reparations committee for Northampton last week, and his name is Dan Kennedy. He's the co-chair of the Police Review Commission of Northampton. He's also lead instructional designer and faculty support at UMass Amherst. Let's see. I can ask a friend of mine who's a state judge, Superior Court judge, if she knows anybody who would have an expertise in jury selection, who might know what's going on in terms of any new movements that are happening to try and make sure that juries, or even, I know somebody else, but she's white, somebody else who just got onto the governor's council for this state. And I know she talked about racism within the system. But anyway, yeah, I don't have a real expert in racism in trial juries that I know of, but for all I know, Dan Kennedy is. But I also thought he would be a good idea because of what's been in the news about the recent, decision of the his name Tyler something. I'm blanking out. I'm sorry. Young man that was murdered.
Toure.
Yeah. What was that?
Toure or Tyre?
Tyre. Yeah.
T-I-R-E.
I think it might be Tyree. Hard to.
Tyree. Yeah. I haven't heard it pronounced.
I watched the video, but I didn't memorize his name, unfortunately. Yeah. So I don't have an expert in mind, but I'm because we're still like, but if we're going to go for it, then I can start brainstorming and asking around. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I was just Googling a little bit about it, but Equal Justice Initiative, of course, is coming up. Of course, they're based in Alabama or someplace. So, but I don't know if they have people around the country who can do this kind of thing. Interesting. interesting little paper they have here, though, on their website. History of discrimination in jury selection. I'll send you this link.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. Where's the chat?
There might not be one because I might not. Oh, let's see.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you can.
Oh, I see a chat button. Yeah, on the right. Yeah.
It's just where a public meeting. I might just need to make sure to read whatever's in the chat.
Oh, do you want me to just email it to you? I don't see a chat button on mine anyway, so.
If you don't mind, it might be easier.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, we could all put our heads together. Rebecca, you're a lawyer, so you might have an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, although, lawyers specialize in different things. I've done a lot of transactions and I have maybe kind of perceived some jury selection out of the corners of my eyes, but I haven't had to be responsible for it. I mean, maybe my sense is just seeing this happen is that there are lists of people that get given to lawyers. They look and see if anybody knows anybody. Like we're all asked, do we know anybody? Which would, I think, tend to disqualify them. And then they have questions to ask to see, they try to root out biases of all various kinds. Of course, lawyers on each side would prefer to keep certain kinds of jurors and not other kinds. But, and I think that, I think that lawyers have an ability maybe to disqualify a limited number apiece. So I'm not, at some point you have to have some people to sit there. You can't just say none of them are qualified. But now how to make it an even balance, some defendants want to move their case to a new venue. Let's say you committed a crime in Hampshire County, but everybody in Hampshire County knows because it was such a big deal. Normally you'd be tried in the county, but they may ask for a different county so that at least people hopefully would be more objective. But again, this is just kind of sideline views, and you might know these ideas as well.
Yeah.
There is a Department of Law, Jurisprudence, and Social Thought at Amherst College.
Okay.
And I was just looking at their faculty. Austin Surratt was somebody I worked with a little bit, but I don't think this is his area. But, well, actually, one of his courses is called Race and Punishment. So he's a white guy for sure. I mean, all of them are that I'm looking at right now. So I don't know if you want that or not, but he might have.
Right. It would be best for
expertise.
I think it would really be best for the African American.
Yeah, who's this person? Yeah. Okay. Yep.
How many?
I mean, a lot of times people like that will do it for free. Not always.
Right. What law schools are closest to here?
Was it
Western New England?
Yeah, Western New England. Yeah.
Okay. So we can look into that. Well, I'm mindful of the time. Do you need to go, Marla?
Yeah, I do need to go. Yeah, sorry about that. So, okay. Well,
yeah. So any ideas are welcome. And Rebecca, you and I can stay on after we end the official meeting.
Sure.
Or no? Or, yeah, just for a few minutes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so great. Thank you for organizing this. And it's sounds great. Let me know what I can do more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I will. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Bye, Marla.
Yeah. Well, so we can certainly stay on to talk about future meetings and scheduling. So
Okay.
let's do that.
Okay.
And right, for not having even 3 of us, we'll tell our listening public that we're going to end the meeting at 6:29 p.m.
Great. Okay.
And all in favor of adjourning. I think we both are. I'm not going to worry you. Thank you.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.